This video is a sequel to my what if my guy was in the Leaf Village during the Pain Invasion video, but you don't have to watch that video before watching this one. What you have to know is that in this scenario, Naruto didn't talk no jutsu Nagato, the village wasn't completely destroyed, and they imprisoned Nagato and Konan after the failed attempt of attacking the Leaf Village and getting Naruto's location. Tsunade also will remain the Hokage after the Pain arc because she didn't go unconscious during the Pain attack, and therefore Danzo doesn't become the 6th Hokage in this timeline. But the most important thing is that Nagato and Konan are vulnerable inside of a cell in the Leaf Village after failing their attempt of capturing the Ninetales. Nagato is a man that can barely move, and after the attack in the Leaf Village, which used a lot of his chakra, he will not be able to put much of a fight. Also, the Leaf Village would definitely set up sealing jutsus just like they did to Sasuke when they imprisoned him, so Nagato wouldn't be able to use his Rinnegan abilities. Upon learning that Nagato and Konan failed, Zetsu would definitely take matters into his own hand because he's got plans of his own and he would appear at Nagato's cell. He can just burrow into the ground and infiltrate places. I don't see Zetsu having any trouble entering Nagato's cell without being detected. He would remove the ceilings from Nagato's eyes and then he would attach himself to Nagato's body, casting the Rinne Tensei, just like he does to Obito in the War Arc, doing the exact same thing, bringing Madara Uchiha back to life, and this time much earlier than expected. This was actually the plan all along, and Nagato was supposed to use his Rinnegan and then use Rinne Tensei on Madara after he had no more utility for the Akatsuki, so yeah, Zetsu's just acting on the plan. Nagato's actions in the original series were a complete and utter betrayal of Obito and Madara's trust, per se. So in this timeline, well, Nagato fulfills his promise, or more like the plan itself. Nagato didn't know he was being used to bring Madara back, but regardless, Madara would return because Nagato wouldn't resist Zetsu's influence on him. He wouldn't be able to do what Obito did in the first try and become the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails instead of doing the Rinne Tensei, so Madara returns. Now, where Madara reappears, that's up to debate. Maybe he just apparates next to Nagato in the cell, or maybe he just appears whatever his body was when he died. Now, some people may say that he will come back very old, but there's a very strong argument to be had that the Rinne Tensei doesn't really work like the Edo Tensei, so the user would come back. However, the caster wanted him to come back, so Zetsu would definitely bring Madara in his prime. It's not like the Edo Tensei where they come up old except for Madara because Kabuto enhanced his Edo Tensei. And this happens in the War Arc too. Madara returns with the Rinne Tensei right at his prime, not as an old man. And it doesn't really matter where Madara appears, regardless, Zetsu would be able to leave the prison cell, not before plucking Nagato's Rinnegans out of his dead body and taking them to Madara himself. If Madara appeared in the prison cell, then, well, Madara would just escape with Black Zetsu with the 2 Rinnegan already. If not, Zetsu would meet Madara wherever he was resurrected and give him the 2 Rinnegan. Of course, it would be very distressing for the Leaf Village shinobis to find a dead Nagato with no eyes. Somebody would definitely know something was up. I mean, those were the 2 god eyes that Nagato used to fight against the entire village, and now they are gone. It's possible that the Leaf Village would raise an alarm, maybe try to go after anybody that got the eyes, but they wouldn't be able to find Madara and Zetsu. At least not in the beginning. Madara would be able to leave the village if he was reborn there, and if not, it would be even easier. Zetsu would reach Madara's location and give him the Rinnegan. And just think about this for a second. Having Madara being revived after the Pain arc, which, you know, this is not a far-fetched scenario by the plans that Obito and Zetsu were implementing, with 2 Rinnegan eyes, would have been insane, because revived Madara with 1 Rinnegan was capable of beating every single tail beast in a couple of seconds with 1 measly Limbo clone. Now, Zetsu would have enacted this plan of bringing Madara back on his own because in that point of the story, Obito wasn't really very keen on reviving Madara anyway. He got the Rinnegan, and he didn't move a muscle to revive Madara. He didn't even try to implant the other Rinnegan on somebody else so that they can be the ones to cast the Rinne Tensei and they will die instead of Obito. No, he was just not feeling it, you know? It's very clear that Obito wanted to do everything on his own, achieve the Infinite Tsukuyomi, and just escape into it. He didn't want Madara to interfere because he kinda knew Madara had more reasons behind his plan than he was letting on. So Obito wouldn't know that Madara was brought back until, you know, he saw Madara and Zetsu, and they're like, "What's up, man? You succeeded. Thank you so much, Obito. You paid your debt, perhaps. And now you're gonna be my right-hand man as I implement the Infinite Tsukuyomi." Now this is Madara Uchiha with 2 Rinnegan, and this would be Obito with 1 of his Mangekyo. The power disparity between the two would just be too immense for Obito to say anything other than, "Yes sir, I'll do whatever you say." And on top of that, Madara would also have access to the Geromazo because he has the Rinnegan, so he has the tail beasts. There's nothing Obito can do about that. He will be Madara's lapdog in the situation. The only reason why Madara was putting up with Obito in the original was because Obito was the one who had the Rinnegan, and so he was the one who could resurrect Madara, so he was treating him better. But in this situation, Madara was just like, "Yeah, you do what I say and shut up. Like, don't ask questions. I'm the boss here." And while Obito was satisfied using the incomplete 10 tails to implement the Infinite Tsukuyomi, Madara was pretty pissed at Obito for launching the plan incomplete. So, the first order of business for Madara would be to capture the 8 and the 9 tails, which was what Obito was trying to do, but in the end of the day, he didn't even need those, because he got the 9 tails' chakra from Ginkaku and Kinkaku to use the Geromazo and create the 10 tails anyways. So now Madara is the big boss, Zetsu will act as a spy, and Obito will be his little lapdog. Of course, Madara would want to go to the Five Kage Summit himself to announce his presence to the world. He wouldn't do that before the Kage Summit, it's just a perfect chance for him to do so. And he would tell Obito to go find the 8 and the 9 tails. With Kisame, might I add, because Kisame was still alive during this point of the story. So Obito and Kisame would become a new Akatsuki duo, the only one remaining, as Madara acts as their supreme leader essentially. Zetsu will continue his machinations behind Madara's back, and Madara will head to the Five Kage Summit. Now, Obito would have warned Madara about this other Uchiha called Sasuke that's, you know, kind of a big deal, but not really for him. And Sasuke wasn't actually going to the Five Kage Summit from the beginning. He wanted to go to the Leaf Village to exact revenge upon them. And as the Leaf Village wouldn't be destroyed now, and Danzo would remain in the Leaf Village and not go to the Five Kage Summit because Tsunade is the Hokage, they would just probably let Sasuke be. They would think of him as an interesting distraction for their ultimate goals. You know, he would attack the Leaf Village just after Pain attacked it. They are in a bad shape, well, not as bad as when Pain attacked in the original, but still, Sasuke would go and try to find Danzo first, and the elders try to kill them, and then try to destroy the Leaf Village. Yeah, good luck with all the people in there. Sasuke's not gonna have a fun time doing so, but he would head to the Leaf Village, while Madara would head to the Five Kage Summit, and Obito and Kisame will try to find B before going after Naruto. Sasuke would assault the Leaf Village, and sure, he may kill Danzo, he may kill the elders, but nothing more than that. The entire village would converge on Team Taka and Sasuke himself. Naruto wouldn't be there because he would still have gone to see the Raikage and plead for Sasuke's life, so Naruto and Sasuke wouldn't fight here, but Might Guy would be there. The entire Shinobi village would also be there, and Pain didn't really win in this scenario either against the entire village. I don't see Team Taka doing much better. Now, sure, Sasuke did very well in the Five Kage Summit, and he would deal substantial damage to the village, but he wouldn't have the chakra reserves to go through the entire Shinobi army of the Leaf, and he would eventually be captured just like his entire team. This would be a great distraction because meanwhile, nobody is aware that Obito and Kisame are going after B. And B was already pretty much stomped by Kisame before Kisame decided to try and infiltrate whatever place B was going to. He didn't lose the fight to B, it was a Zetsu clone that lost the fight. And that was with the help of the Raikage, but the Raikage wouldn't arrive to help B in the first place in this scenario, and I will get to why. Obito and Kisame together, this is an extremely powerful duo, and Obito is more powerful than Kisame. If Kisame was actually destroying B in that fight, then the two together, they're capturing the 8 Tails without much difficulty. And while that happened, Madara Uchiha heads to the Five Kage Summit. I imagine the Five Kage would start their discussion talking about the Akatsuki, the problems they're facing with the Jinchuriki, and the fact that Madara Uchiha was among them and was pulling all the strings behind the scenes. And that's the point when Madara Uchiha himself, showcasing his 2 Rinnegan eyes, casually strolls into the Five Kage Summit room, announcing his presence and having that gleeful and arrogant smile on his face, saying, "Well, Kage, you actually thought you were doing well here, didn't you? You were going to create an alliance? Was that what you were about to do? That's unfortunate." And of course, the Kage thought Obito was Madara in that point, so they were respecting Obito like he was Madara. But in this scenario, he is unmasked, he has 2 Rinnegan, and his chakra presence would be so much more overwhelming than Obito that the Kage would be in a very tough spot here. They would be afraid. Of course, they would have their bodyguards with them, but what can those guys do against this Madara? He would probably taunt the Five Kage, say that they are worthless, and do all that Madara shtick, but eventually he would attack them, or the Kage would attack him first. Point is, they would fight, just like Madara fought against the Five Kage in the War Arc, and it would be the same Kage because Tsunade would be here instead of Danzo. This would be the first Madara fight after his revival, so I see him toying with the Five Kage just like he toyed with them in the war. The problem for the Kage is that this version of Madara is significantly more powerful than the Edo Tensei version they faced, and that version was already destroying them and just toying with them. Sure, they landed a couple of blows, but that was mostly due to Madara being cocky and not really trying, and he managed to substitute and essentially negate every single attack they used against him. This Madara would also have Hashirama cells, meaning he would have regeneration, so even if he got hit hard, he would heal. And he also has Limbo, which is just completely busted against anybody that doesn't have a Rinnegan or Sage of Six Paths Senjutsu. It's impossible to be sensed. The 9-tail beasts were one-shot by a single Limbo punch, so the Kage would do the exact same. They wouldn't see anything coming and bam, they're gone. Now, I don't think Madara would even use Limbo. He would only do so if the Five Kage managed to press him enough so he could use Limbo defensively and to attack them if he felt like ending the fight quickly. But of course, this Madara versus Five Kage fight would have a different goal to the one in the War Arc. Madara knew where the Jinchuriki were in the War Arc. He was just wanting to, play around with the Kage, test some new abilities, and that's why he was fighting them. In here, he would be trying to find out Naruto's location. Now, he could assume he was in the Leaf Village, but then again, he didn't know. So, he would kill every single Kage and the other assistants that they brought in there, leaving Tsunade alive to question her about Naruto's whereabouts. There's a big chance Naruto is one of the bodyguards Tsunade brings with Kakashi or somebody else, so that he can talk with the Raikage, and, if he's already there, might as well bring him as a bodyguard. He is, after all, the strongest ninja in the village. But even if that was the case, Sage Mode Naruto couldn't scratch Madara Uchiha. We see in the War Arc, when Naruto's fighting against Madara, he lands a massive Rasengan with Sage Mode. Madara tanks that easily with a ribcage of the Susanoo. It wouldn't make that much of a difference. Even if Naruto goes absolutely ballistic with the Nine Tails, Madara can literally just genjutsu the Nine Tails. The Nine Tails is pretty irrelevant for this Madara. After all, he was able to one-shot the Nine Tails, version 2 KCM Naruto in the War Arc. There's just absolutely nothing the Kage could do, even if Kakashi and Naruto were there. And if Naruto was there, it would just make things easier for Madara himself. He wouldn't have to question everyone, so he would just kill the Kage, go like, yeah, you're good, and capture Naruto. Naruto wouldn't be able to resist capture because, well, Madara could just imprison him with a limbo clone, and if Naruto wasn't one of Tsunade's bodyguards, he would kill everybody except for Tsunade and then use the human path to extract the information about Naruto's location. Tsunade would know Naruto went close to the Five Kage Summit to interrogate the Raikage, and so he would simply search, maybe with the help of Black Zetsu, and find Naruto. If he was with Kakashi and Yamato like he was in the original, Madara would have absolutely no trouble disposing of the two and capturing Naruto. And this would be a terrible problem for the entire shinobi world. All their Kage have been killed, the two remaining Jinchuriki are captured, and Madara Uchiha has returned, and apparently he is stronger than ever. The 5 major villages could try and form an alliance against him, but all the tail beasts have already been captured, and the purpose of the 4th Great Ninja War, initially at least, was to defend the 2 remaining tail beasts, so that the Infinite Tsukuyomi wasn't cast. But now, well, it's futile, it's already over. And now all Kage are dead. It would be a mess. They would have to elect new Kage so quickly to align themselves again and try to form this coalition. It just wouldn't work. Now, that's not to say that the villages themselves wouldn't go after Madara and Obito and Kisame, but even still, do you see anyone in this world that would have a chance against this Madara in this part of the story? Well, I actually see one person, and that would be Might Guy, the man who faced Jubidara and almost won in the War Arc. Now, if we consider that all Kage are dead and Naruto is captured, that B is captured, and the Kakashi is also dead because he was with Naruto when Madara captured him, Might Guy would be practically alone in this endeavor. Now, of course, he would have help from other shinobis that can track Madara and go after him in a last-ditch effort to try and prevent the end of the world as they know. And if you say that Madara would take some time absorbing the 9 and the 8 tails into the Geromazo, well, the rules simply don't apply to him. He's way more powerful than all the Akatsuki put together. They took 3 days to absorb 1 tail beast into the Geromazo, while Madara took a couple of minutes to take every single tail beast into the statue. And we also know that Madara can absorb the entire statue in a couple of seconds as well, transforming himself as the Jinchuriki of the 10 Tails. It didn't have to go through all those steps Obito did because he's simply more powerful. He has the Rinnegan and he is an original Rinnegan Awakener. But let's assume somehow Might Guy encounters Madara without the 10 tails absorbed, so that it would be just a live dual Rinnegan Madara, and let's assume that for whatever reason Obito, Kisame, and Zetsu wouldn't be with him to help. Could Guy actually win? Well, he couldn't win with the 7th gate, that we know for certain. If he manages to open the 8th gate, because it does take some time, but Madara is the type of guy that likes to see what the opponent can do. So if Madara sees that Guy's about to open the 8th gate, he would probably let him do so just for the sake of having a good battle before he becomes the Jinchuriki of the 10 Tails. And that could probably be a problematic thing for Madara. Now, there's also the chance Madara will take the fight more seriously. We see in the War Arc that when he gets his Rinnegan after he is revived, he takes things much more seriously. He does not want to mess around. He wants to become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki as fast as he can. He wasn't, joking around like in his Rinne Tensei form, which he knew he could just regenerate from any particular type of attack. You could also argue that he was toying with the Tail Beast before he got his Rinnegan in the fight. But in here, if he sees that Guy's about to open the 8th gate, he'll take the fight more seriously because he doesn't want to die before he becomes the Jinchuriki of the 10 Tails. But let's assume a Guy manages to open it. Could Madara fend him off? Well, we see that the Limbo clones are essentially perfect walls/shields to defend against any type of attack. Sakura in the War Arc was completely unable to move a Limbo clone with a punch while she was amped by her 100 ceilings, and she was able to punch Kaguya and deal substantial damage to Kaguya without her ceiling's imp, meaning that a single Limbo clone scales much higher than Kaguya herself. Also, Might Guy couldn't see the Limbo clone, and therefore Madara would just have no issues attacking Guy. Madara would also be able to tank a couple of attacks from the Evening Elephant with his perfect Susanoo, for example. And yes, Guy would eventually break the Susanoo, but the Limbo clones, they cannot be dealt with by anybody that doesn't have the Rinnegan or Six Path Senjutsu. So eventually Guy would lose. He could probably try and charge the Night Guy, but that does take some time, and while he's charging, the Limbo clone comes in, bam bam! That's it for 8-Gate's My Guy, so Madara would still win, like he is unbeatable in this scenario. That's obviously because he's taking the fight more seriously too. It's very much implied in their fight in the War Arc that Madara was just having fun and saying, "What do you have, man? I want to dance some more. You are the strongest opponent, I'm having so much fun." This would be a much more serious situation because Madara wouldn't really have the luxury of taking attacks willy-nilly and regenerating so much with the Ten Tails chakra. He would have Hashirama cells, so he could regenerate somehow, but not as much as his Jubidara state. After that, if we assume Guy was able to reach Madara anyways, he becomes the Ten Tails Jinchuriki by absorbing the Geromazu, and then, because he already has both Rinnegan, he flies up towards the moon and casts Infinite Tsukuyomi upon the world. Oh yeah, I kinda skipped over the fact that Naruto would also be that here because he would have the Nine Tails extracted, but I guess that was obvious, and also me. But anyways, the Infinite Tsukuyomi would shine bright upon the world, and every single being that can see, at least, except for Madara and Zetsu, are caught in the Genjutsu. Now there's a problem, because in this point of the story, we know what Zetsu's up to. He wasn't on Madara's side, he actually just was using Madara to bring Kaguya back. And so he would try the exact same thing here. There would be additional problems for Zetsu in this scenario though. He was able to stab Madara from behind, even though he shouldn't have been able because Madara had a billion ways to counter that, but still, he was only able to catch Madara off guard because Madara was distracted with Team 7 in front of him. In this scenario, every single person is under the Infinite Tsukuyomi, so there would be nobody for Madara to be distracted with. Zetsu wouldn't have that window of opportunity. Furthermore, Madara would have been with Black Zetsu for much longer this time, because if you think about it, Madara quote-unquote created Black Zetsu as he was about to die. So, you know, he saw Black Zetsu and then he died. He barely even acknowledged Black Zetsu's existence before he died. He says, yes, this is my creation, just follow his will, it's my will, whatever, go for it. And then Madara dies. And then, when he comes back in the War Arc, Madara is only back on planet Earth for about, 12 to 16 hours. And he only has a couple of conversations with Black Zetsu, so he wouldn't really have a lot of time to suspect Black Zetsu, to see what he is doing with a more inquisitive eye, especially because Madara himself was occupied fighting several different battles throughout those 12 to 16 hours he was back on planet Earth. And man, those were very busy hours in the Narutoverse. But in this different scenario, Madara would have taken longer to cast Infinite Tsukuyomi because he would have to move from place to place until they capture all the tail beasts. Perhaps a week, perhaps even more than that. And Madara would also have more downtime than he had in the War Arc. He could evaluate Black Zetsu's actions, and Madara is an intelligent man. If he realizes something is looking fishy, he will investigate and will not let his guard down around Black Zetsu. Now, you could argue Black Zetsu would play his role of Madara's will well, and Madara wouldn't notice a thing and still would think Zetsu would be on his side. But because Madara wouldn't be quote-unquote distracted by Team 7 in front of him, I see him detecting the attack coming from behind. First, because he has his Limbo clones that could still stop Black Zetsu before anything happens. He could use Rinne Tensei to blow Black Zetsu away. He could just simply get out of the way. There are a billion different possibilities for Madara to dodge Black Zetsu's attack. And also, there's a chance Black Zetsu wouldn't be attached to anybody particularly powerful when Madara cast the Infinite Tsukuyomi. Obito was not influenced by the Infinite Tsukuyomi because Black Zetsu was attached to him at the time of the casting, so maybe Black Zetsu would possess somebody strong, but there's also the chance Black Zetsu wouldn't possess anybody, and therefore he would be even weaker when trying to stab Madara from behind, and let's just say Madara would see the attack coming and obliterate Black Zetsu, laughing at him, saying, "What the hell was that? That's very stupid. You thought you could destroy me, Black Zetsu, but you're just a little fodder character." Is this me being petty towards Black Zetsu because I detest the plot twist with him and Kaguya in the story? Yes, it is. Leave me alone. I'll do it because this is my video and my channel, okay? So Madara stomps Black Zetsu, preferably he spits on his face too. And Madara Uchiha wins. Now, of course, Madara's plan wasn't to just leave people inside the Infinite Tsukuyomi tree, because this would lead to the extinction of the human race. So if you want me to make another what-if scenario, or what if Madara had won the fight, what would have happened when these stupid Otsutsukis came down to Earth, and what he had planned for humanity, leave it in the comments below if you want me to continue this mini-series. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and also like this video. Those things really help me out with the YouTube algorithm. And watch this other video right here for more cool Naruto content. Thank you so much for watching.